Welcome back, 8:13 on your chilly Tuesday morning as we take a live look over Cary there. Beautiful blue skies, no clouds in the sky, but you need to bundle up this morning. Some people saw a little bit of wintry weather overnight, some snow. We didn't see any here in Raleigh, but some people did, right?
They did. Take a look here. Granville County, Vance County, even parts of Franklin County, up to a half an inch. Over here closer to Roanoke Rapids, parts of Halifax and Northampton County, up to an inch. And then a trace over there around Rocky Mount, between Rocky Mount and Wilson. We have had some reports of some slick conditions in Franklin County, but the slick condition reports have been isolated at best. It was a pretty interesting scenario. Generally, what was happening was we had rain moving away and cold air rotating around behind it, and it changed over the precipitation to snow. But we had a little interesting feature happen as well. As the cold Arctic air moved over Lake Gaston, where the water is warmer than the air temperature, it created a little bit of lake effect snow. You can see that streak of snow that developed and headed out along the path of the wind. That's something that we don't see very often. You know, lake effect snow is something that generally happens from the Great Lakes. So it was just a little band of snow that developed, but pretty cool to see that overnight. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all clear this morning. Lots of sunshine. Chapel Hill courtesy of Top of the Hill restaurant. And we're watching the wind chill. The wind chill's in the white box on the right, mostly low to mid 20s right now. 21 in Southern Pines, 22 Fayetteville, 21 in Roxborough, 20 in Rocky Mount. So it's a cold start out there. We're watching the potential for our next storm to arrive over the weekend with the chance of some wintry weather. If the storm center, if the low goes to the north, this is mostly going to be rain. If the low goes to the south, we're going to see a better chance of wintry precipitation, and we are going to be right on that line. So a little change to the north and a little change to the south right over us is going to be mean a big change in what we see here. This is a look at either a worst case or best case scenario. If you're a snow lover, you can see how this model shows a good bit of snow for us and some wintry mix down to the south. However, we have other computer models that show it moving much farther to the north. This is an update on our chance of an inch of snow, and it actually updated a little higher as it just came in, 75% at least from this model. So we're definitely looking at the possibility, but as we get closer to the weekend, it easily could be that this moves farther north and we end up with just a rain. How do we know? Well, weather balloons are very important to data that we collect for our forecasts, and meteorologist Chris Michaels here to talk about how that works.
Yeah, now especially since that storm system's over land, it's still 2,200 miles away, which is why there's still a little bit of uncertainty as to where exactly the storm goes. But I've highlighted where that system is. Now it's over land and can get sampled by weather balloons. These are launched twice a day by various airports or National Weather Service offices. So now that it's over the western U.S., those balloons go up into the storm and they sample it with real-time data. That could be temperature, humidity, wind speed, all of the above. That data then gets fed into our forecast models, and when you have real-time, actual, accurate data being fed into the models, the assumption is the models get better. So that's why right now, a 50-mile shift is the difference maker between snow and sleet, freezing rain, or just rain. Over the course of the next 1 to 2 days, once that data gets fed into the models, that's when we expect to really hone in on more of the detailed information. So I would expect, Elizabeth, by tomorrow, early Thursday, is when we'll have a really good idea as to what this thing is going to do.
Chris, great explanation. And as we get closer to the weekend, we get more of those model runs, and that storm moves over land, and we continue to get more and more samples. And that just, again, makes the model more accurate, makes our forecast more accurate. In the meantime, while we're watching and waiting, boy, it's going to be cold. Temperature on Thursday won't make it out of the 30s. Ken?
It is great to have you along here as your routine continues here to start the new year. But boy, these temperatures, we're starting to get used to them a little bit, but this is a cold stretch we are in. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, and a little bit of fun with this snow that fell to our north.
You know, we saw rain yesterday, and then cold air came rushing in behind it, caught up with some of that precipitation, and changed it over to snow. It was a little under, it was a half an inch or so along the I-85 corridor. Over around Roanoke Rapids, it was a little bit under an inch, and in Rocky Mount, just a trace. So a few folks ended up seeing some of that. We had some reports in Franklin County of some slick conditions there, but we haven't seen anything widespread. As the sun comes up, of course, course, it's going to melt any of that lingering ice that may be around. But for the most part, the roads are dry, even in the places where we saw snow last night. It feels like 21 in Southern Pines, 24 in Goldsboro, 21 in South Hill. So our wind chill right now is in the low 20s as you're heading out the door, low to mid 20s. That sunshine, though, will gradually warm things up. This is a live look at Apex. If you're headed out, now that big coat's going to feel pretty good. It is 31 degrees, but that wind chill with the wind out of the northwest at 6 miles per hour is feeling pretty chilly. Hour by hour, we'll climb into the low 40s for highs this afternoon with lots of sunshine. But the cold air continues to linger, setting us up for the potential for another wintry storm that could come our way over the weekend. A better chance for snow in the north, a wintry mix in the middle of the viewing area, and rain down to the south. This is a preliminary map. We're still watching to see how far north or south the low could go. That will make a big difference in what kind of precipitation we'll see. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth.
We're Southern Pines. If you're in those shadows, you're probably going to hang around with a little frost there, but the sun going to take away some of that frost. Not really warm things up too much, though. Elizabeth Gardner over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. The chill is hanging on. And we're talking about that snow from overnight, trace amounts in our area.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot, but there have been some reports in Franklin County of some slippery roads. Really just one report as far as we can tell, so it wasn't widespread, but the sun is going to take care of a lot of that on the roads if we are seeing it anywhere, and even on the grassy surfaces where most of that snow ended up. About half an inch along the I-85 corridor, closer to Roanoke Rapids, almost an inch, and a trace down there in Rocky Mount. Here's a look at one of our weather watchers, Nicholas Thorpe. Took this picture in White Level last night, and you could see the snow on the roads. We're not seeing that now, of course. Nicholas Thorpe, actually one of the emergency management folks there, so we appreciate that photo. Here's a live look at Durham right now. We didn't have any snow in Durham. You can see here where the sidewalk is a little bit wet, so anything that looks wet like that is going to be frozen this morning. Obviously, you're going to keep your eye on that. 31 is our temperature. We only climbed to 42 or 3 this afternoon. It's going to stay chilly. Right now it's 28 in Roxborough, 26 in Henderson, 29 in Rocky Mount. We head down to the south, 30 in Sanford, 25 in Southern Pines, 31 Irwin and Goldsboro. So we're sitting close to freezing in most places currently, and it'll be a slow warm up hour by hour. Again, we're feeling like mid 20s right now. It'll only feel like the mid 30s this afternoon with that wind chill. Our high temperatures this afternoon about 10 degrees colder than normal. 42 in Raleigh, 41 in Durham, and 45 degrees in Fayetteville. We're going to see our next storm system arriving in time for the weekend, Saturday, Friday night into Saturday. Looks like the big day. If this storm ends up being farther north, excuse me, well, pardon me, we'll end up with more rain. If it's farther south, we'll have the chance for more wintry precipitation, including snow, possibly some ice, or maybe places that have power outages. It's really going to depend on the track of that low. And we'll get a lot more information in over the next few days. We'll continue to have run after run of the models, and those runs will change. And so keep checking in. Once we get to Thursday, when we're about 48 hours out, we get our high resolution data in, and we can really start to firm up the timeline, the amounts, and what type of precipitation that we may see. In the meantime, bundle up. It's going to be a chilly week. Temperatures on Thursday, only 38 for the high.
Oh, it's going to be chilly.